And good morning, Tammy.
Good morning.
Let me share screen. And we'll go here.
Do we want to sit down there or what?
And this won't be a long meeting, but there's some stuff that's happened this week that worth talking about.
Okay.
So you guys all get the numbers that I send to you, correct?
Yes.
You never get any of your emails.
Seriously?
No, I didn't ask you if you read them. I just.
We gotta encourage more.
He's got a rule on his system that all your emails go to spam.
I know.
Sure. My computer.
That's a thing? I can do that?
You can do that. So anyway, right at the upper right-hand corner, when you get these are places you can put your name, your phone number, whatever you want to put, your email address. You just type it in.
I can't get mine to work when I try to do that.
What are you using to look at it?
I don't know.
Acrobat Reader or a browser or,
don't
because I
know.
tried it on 3 browsers before.
So what's the best way to?
Well, right now I'm an Acrobat Reader.
You probably have that default to your computer.
You should.
But-
Okay.
The other side is if you don't do anything, when this prints, those come out gray. They don't show up blue like that. I want to look at the numbers for a bit, and I have some reasons for looking at them. Look at our closed sales from March, how much higher we are April to March this year, or April to last year. Market's coming up quite a bit for you guys who don't watch that as carefully. That
Taxes
impressive.
went up too.
Yeah.
Taxes went.
Active inventory is higher than I've seen it in ages.
It is, it's up 12%, and this is getting a little bit closer back to normal. The median price is up a bunch. So Thursday, I'm gonna tell you why you may not be selling as many units, you're making more dollars. I'll tell you why later, but active inventory pendings. Our pending, yes. Okay. Our pendings are up from April of last year. And they're up from March of this year. Of this year. Now, those are up by units, not by dollars. That's just pure units. In the month of supply of inventory, is down some, which means we're selling some. Do you guys understand this chart? I take the dollars and break down what percentage of the inventory sold they represent. I had a bit of problem with the dollar per square foot this month, and they're fixing it. But I just wanted you to know, it looks like new construction has come back into a balanced, which is unusual because last month they were way off. Here is a couple of numbers I want you to pay attention to. If you're in the 100 to 200 range, it's selling like crazy. You guys probably feel that. What I'm a bit surprised is that the 200 to 250 isn't quite the same. And I kind of find that down here. Your days on market, continuous days for Lance. 15 between the 150, 200. They're moving like crazy. But they aren't moving like crazy between the 200 and 250, which is our medium price range. I thought they'd be moving faster, and they're at a 28 CDOM. I know I'm going over to explain those. Yes, Marie? You look like you were gonna say.
Somebody just needs to mute themselves. Keep hearing.
Hmm?
Somebody needs to mute themselves.
Sherry, can you mute yourself, please?
Um,
And then, of course, this is just so you can go back and kind of look at how many actives going up and down are we about the same, pendings going up and down are we about the same, and sold, same deal. So now I want to talk to you a bit. Has everybody seen the Zillow proposed touring contract.
Yes.
Okay, let me describe it to you if you haven't seen it. Zillow announced last week that in lieu of the changes on buyer agency, they were going to have a contract to tour homes. And the contract says touring homes is free of charge. You don't get paid and it will last for 7 days. And then it says if you find a house that you like and you want to buy, then you'll start negotiating your buyer agency commission. That's what Zillow came out and said. Did I say that right, Chris?
Can you, yeah, rephrase that a little?
They're gonna be legal?
Ooh.
Sorry, I was reading it.
So they offered it as a choice, like it's not. So Zillow listings, Zillow,
No.
what's
No.
it?
There are listings.
Zillow when they are showing houses,
Okay,
or like Chris, they buy Zillow leads when they're showing houses.
So Zillow is making this document available that you can download right now to Zillow, that use Zillow. It's a touring document that lasts for 7 days. It makes, the nice thing about it is it makes them sign that they do not have an agency contract with anybody right now.
they being the buyers or the,
Buyers.
okay.
That's the nice thing, although do we, does it really matter, but it is a nice thing. They said, the thing that's not so nice about it is they say that stuff is free of charge. So if you're one of those people that likes to have a retainer fee, or if we're going to start charging people up front for showing houses, that touring thing says that part is free of charge. It's for 7 days. And the hope is that after the 7 days, you will have embedded yourself in their life so much that they'll just go ahead and sign a contract for you. The other reason they're doing it is so it relieves the pressure of, I ain't signed this contract, you guys sign this contract before you go show a house. And it takes that pressure away. So now it's like, here's a document that says, all I'm gonna do is show you these houses. We're gonna have a touring agreement for like a week. You see if you like me and I like you, and we'll see if it's a love connection. And then if it is, we'll go ahead and move on. And it gives you time to do that. So that's the document that they've brought up. I've heard goods and bads on the internet from the internet warriors, whether they like it or don't.
Where does agency play into that?
It doesn't. You are not an agent. You're simply a tour guide.
So you would be a transaction broker, neutral, not giving confidential.
You're nothing. You're just a door.
No, that's
opener.
just a customer. You're a glorified door opener.
You're just a.
You open it and you let, I do that anyway. I get a 24-hour agency signed. In case they ask questions, because they
And
all,
I think,
That's my point.
but I think you're right, Cheryl, in the way that our state works.
Right.
We would be a transaction broker. We wouldn't be anything. There's no agency relationship
Correct.
there or anything. And then the idea is that you move from the touring agreement where you are basically nothing to a buyer agency contract after they've decided that they liked you. It's just a document that they're putting out. I will also tell you that we've talked to our Zillow rep. And she says that they are actively taking feedback from major markets, which we are not one of them, but they're actively taking major feedback or feedback from major markets to see if it's something people are liking, not liking, if they need to readjust it, add or delete. The good news is Zillow says they will make it available for everybody to use.
They have made it.
It's not just for Zillow people. Every agent can use it if they want it.
But how is that really legal? How can you go from a licensee to really nothing? Because you're licensed, so I don't.
You're nothing. It's just that you're not there to talk about buyer agency contract. You're just relieving.
So you cannot.
Hang on a second, because I'm gonna tell you what they just said realtors will not allow that. Because the realtors came out with this rule Friday, that the MLS, and I'm gonna blow it up a little bit more. It's rule number 8.13 that the MLS has to put into their MLS rules, which says you must have a written agreement with the buyer prior to touring a home, and it must include a specific and conspicuous disclosure of the amount or rate of compensation the participant will receive and how that amount will be determined. And it goes on to say you can't say anything open-ended, like, we'll discuss the rate later, or I will take whatever they're offering. You have to have an end percentage of what you're gonna take. And the problem with Zillow's proposal is, as long as they are a Realtor organization, which they still are, and they want use of the MLS, which is how they get all their data right now from an IDX feed, they're gonna have to change that form to do this. And conspicuous free means I'm gonna show you that house for free, and if you buy it, I don't get paid for that house.
Locally, I don't think we should be freaking out because nothing's changed for us in the sense that we're already supposed to have our agreements. If we go be free tour guides, we're devaluing ourselves. We have always had the buyer agency agreement signed prior to showing houses, if we're gonna be a buyer representative. The only thing that's different is trying to figure out how the hell we're getting paid.
Exactly. And the other thing that happened this week that is important is that we're gonna try to put this in place by mid-July, distributed to all the MLSs by September. Now they're thinking that they extended that date and they agreed upon August 17th. But they think they also want all the MLSs implemented by August 17th. The bottom line to this is what Cheryl said. Don't freak out. Nothing has really changed.
For us.
At this time, everything's the same. What is very, very cloudy is what the future is. And we're all kind of trying to figure out what it is because rules like this were just released Friday. That is the Realtor MLS guide to what the settlement says.
Okay, let me
Can
ask you this.
And that's why we're here, so we can ask questions.
You kept emphasizing Realtor. What if somebody's just an agent?
Currently, they don't have to do any of this, but they also don't have access to the MLS.
Got it.
Chris?
So they have to fish Zillow.
I was just gonna show just the other side, or just talk about the other side real quick.
Please.
And although I appreciate what Cheryl's saying about, we should always have a buyer agency sign before we show a house and stuff like that. There are some of us that, go with the first one's free. I will go show you a house for free first, and I know it's absolutely best practice to have a buyer consultation meeting first and to sit down and talk to them and make sure they come into the office and you get a buyer agency sign and all of that stuff. I get it. That is absolute best practice. But sometimes that's just not reality. That's just not how it works.
Right.
And I will tell you that Zillow, and part of the reason Zillow put this out was because their practice, our practice as a team in the brokerage, we always give the first one free. Because I know that if I get you guys in front of them, they're yours, right? Your guys are gonna turn on the charm burners. So rather than going to this hard line of you have to have an agency contract signed before you can go sell a house, where you all know until the public gets used to it, we have been training sellers for decades that we do nothing for them until we have a signed contract. It's in the license law that we can't even put a sign in their lawn until we have a signed contract. Right? Now, we're trying to get the public to shift to be more like listings. It's gonna take a minute to do that. And I will tell you that there are many agents, people on our team, and I would imagine if y'all are honest, there's a lot of you that go out and show houses without having a buyer agency contract before that first house.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm gonna suggest a couple of things because this is an open discussion. I have no problem with showing the first one free. If you're following the rules, you don't have to sign a long-term anything. I'm gonna show you this house as a transaction buyer broker. I've discussed with you, they're not offering any compensation. So if you wanna buy this, you will owe me X number of dollars. That's what this rule says you have to
Yeah,
do.
for sure.
Okay, how
and-
does that affect VA?
And FHA.
They're still working on. the
They're
VA.
still working on VA.
It is wrong.
They're-
What about
they're
FHA?
trying.
FHA, Fannie and Freddie said they will let you put these, if you use, let me back up a second. If the seller is offering, not compensation, what's the word I'm looking?
Sessions.
Concessions, thank you. I'm getting old. Those concessions can include, but are not a buyer agency commission. And those concessions can be put in the MLS with the caveat that you cannot require them to use the concession for buyer agency. They can use that concession for whatever they want to do. But those concessions that are used for buyer agency, Fannie and Freddie and FHA have all said they won't count that against your percentage of concessions that you can use to buy a property. So that will be separated, at least in the beginning. Did that make sense, or do I need to?
So closing costs and all of that stuff that we've always used as seller concessions, right? When we write that paragraph. Now becomes a thing called an interested party concession, okay? Those interested party concessions are from the interested party of the transaction, the seller, giving money toward another interested party, the buyer's closing costs. That percentage will function the same way it always has, as the 6% allowable by FHA, okay? Or 4% for VA. Well, only VA, it doesn't
Right.
count, but they're trying to work that out. Cool, whatever, don't use that.
So they could use that to pay the buyer's agency.
Exactly.
They do not, that
No,
is
it's
a
different.
separate number.
Well, sort of.
Now, outside of that 6%, you can now get a seller concession for commission to the buyer's agent that is never counted as a part of that 6% allowable. You can still get your full 6% interested party concessions toward closing costs and everything allowable.
Rebates, all that. Mhm.
And a separate
That,
number of, okay, whatever
You're not
number you put there.
penalized.
you're not penalized.
No, I understand that, but how?
Now,
That came out in the FHA.
That's right, for Fannie and Freddie.
Yeah, that came right out in Fannie and Freddie. That just-
So how are the lenders gonna handle that? Does anybody know yet?
Well, they're gonna have to know what you're using your
You
concessions
have to
for.
word it, like you'll have to use interested party concessions for closing costs, and you'll have to word it such way, you'll have to add that to your paragraph. And then on your buyer agent commission, seller
Well,
concession for buyer agent commission.
I'm
will be
not-
a separate line.
I'm not fully sure that you're gonna have to use that wording, but in our back of our mind, let's keep it until everything comes out on paper, because we're,
I was gonna
So-
say, I'm on the forms committee and,
well, wait, you don't know, because this only came out last week.
okay.
But there's another caveat to that. So the reason we can do that up front is they said if it's common practice in the area you're in for the seller to pay the buyer agency agreement, then it won't count against your interested party stuff. However, and we're all there right now because the seller's paying it all. But later on, if the sellers quit paying for it in your area, in your metro area, then it will count against it. Now, that could be 2 years down the road before we get there. And the MLS now has to decide how to track whether commissions are being paid from concession or not, so that we can prove that it's paid here so that we don't have to use it and so on. It's getting very
And
complex.
I will say, going back to either Sandra or Maria, I don't, or maybe you said it. Because the lenders are not on board with this stuff yet, right? The rules are there that we can use. But we talked to, and you guys talk to your lenders, but we talked to our lenders quite a bit. And all of them are saying, yeah, we're just kind of sitting back waiting for the dust to settle. All of the upper echelons of the lending institutions are all rumbling and mumbling, but nobody has brought anything down yet. We're waiting to watch you guys beat the hell out of each other for a while before we decide what to do. So my point to that is, if you're going to do something like Kim just said, with the interested party concessions and then write something such if you're going to try and do any of that stuff, you are gonna wanna have a conversation with your lender to make sure that they are on board and to make sure they understand. Cause you know as well as I do, lenders out there are like realtors. Half of them know what the hell they're doing and half of them don't. So you gotta have a conversation.
And let me back up what Chris is saying for a minute, then I'll get you to Kim. And all of this discussion we're having is because you guys are all on Facebook posts where I'm the best realtor in the world is putting something down. Oh, the lenders just changed. Oh, nothing has happened. Be aware of what the discussions are, but just like Zillow came out with their piece of paper, and the next day, the MLSs from realtors came out with this. Things are shifting to find where the water's gonna level. Nothing has changed. When the things change, we'll get closer to understanding what's going on. But it's a day-to-day, this is today's rule, that's tomorrow's rule.
I'm gonna keep skipping until you tell me to walk.
And perfect.
There you go.
I like that. Skip until you're told to walk. The reason I bring this up and keep hitting you guys with it is hopefully you'll get a little understanding. Hopefully, when other parties tell you, hey, you know, they don't know what they're doing, you don't know what you're doing, so on and so forth. No, everything's still fine. Nothing has changed. The
Is
people
Greg-
planning the changes change day to day. Yes, sir.
I got a question when you take a breath.
Well, let me have Kim talk first because she had a question.
So there is one more problem in the way that they've worded the Fannie and Freddie stuff. And it is the thing that got everybody in trouble in the first damn place, which was that commission was customary. So the way they've worded Fannie and Freddie right now is that it's now gonna be the lender's job to figure out what's customary in an area, you know, where we're not allowed to systemize commissions. So before it's all said and done, that'll have to be changed.
There's a lot of things changing. I agree. Yes, Tim.
So just to clarify, Greg, what I'm looking at on the screen, this is just a proposal, correct? I mean, the
No.
way this is stated, it says it's stated as a fact. We must sign something, you know, a buyer agency agreement before you show.
Let me say that right now, these are the rules being distributed to the MLSs that they have to put in place. They are not effective yet, but
Okay.
this
okay,
is
that-
the
that's
rule.
point. Okay. It'd be helpful if you said not effective on the side or propose or.
Oh,
to
I
be
get it.
considered. Cause I, you know, we're all seeing this looks like, got the force of law here. The way,
So as I rolled back up here and you see it says National Association of Realtors, there
Right.
were six pages of summary of MLS policy changes. This is the new policy statement. I don't entirely know when it will be effective, but the MLS committee and the MLS Board of Directors have been issued these things and say, okay, figure out how to put them in your rule now. That doesn't mean we have to follow them yet, but we have to create them in the rules.
I have a comment when you have a second.
Go ahead.
So sorry, my dog's going crazy. So Zillow has also changed that if you don't want to sign something, they're starting to charge you for your listings where you can get all the information of who's calling on your listings, and then you can just show them yourself. So I have that meeting on Thursday with them to find out what that's all about for that change.
Have you heard of that, Chris?
I've not heard of that one on Zillow, but I'm not surprised. Homes.com has gone to an almost entirely listing-based situation, and you're on it and Pam's on it. Because they made a presentation to me this last week and
Well, I will say that I would be very interested in what you're talking about because we've talked to our rep like 4 times in the last week. And she has mentioned nothing about a change in the way that the listing side runs or the advertising side runs. And I specifically, last Wednesday or last Thursday, we specifically talked to her about the touring document and pay. So I would be super interested in knowing what that is because.
No, me too. So I have a meeting at 10 on Thursday, so I'll just come in and we can all listen.
I'd love to sit in on it if you're here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, because I was like, I want to hear about it. I don't know that I want to do it, but I want to, I mean, I don't want to give more money than I have to, but if that's the change, we got to know.
Well, I have to, if I was rubbing my crystal ball, I'd say, you know, a crystal ball.
We got it.
Say word.
They have bad minds down
Like that way over here.
there.
25-year-olds, I'd like to know what you want from us.
Come on, just call it 12-year-old.
I could see a time where Zillow decided to break away from the Realtor organization. And there could be a lot of people that break away from the Realtor.
How about we just
organization.
quit giving them our listings? Then they really have to break away.
The problem is,
Got an IDX fee.
we are no longer giving them to them. They joined as a brokerage, which means they have right to them. If they weren't a brokerage, they would no longer have.
Because they know every time I sell. All you have to do now is you don't have to add it. You just have to go approve it.
I'm aware. But
They'll
that's,
get quite a few.
so there could be a lot of changes with the buyer agency changing. You know, I would, and I know Chris and their team buy a lot of leads from Zillow. And I think they go up and down. But with this agency rule, it could affect a lot selling leads. It may not, I don't know. There's just a lot we don't understand yet.
I'm gonna stand out there like the homeless do and put on the corner. And if they wanna throw me money, they can. If you don't.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up something because it's,
I'm a streetwalker,
No,
realtor.
I'm
You
just
can
gonna
just advertise everything's $3,500 like that one group does.
Go ahead, Chris.
yeah. So here's a question, and it's kind of a thing, just because we had it come up twice now. And we're running into this. Is anybody else seeing, or how have you dealt with, as soon as the negotiation contract gets accepted and as soon as the negotiations start, the other agent decides to start changing the offered compensation?
We just had that happen last
Right.
week.
I've heard it.
We've had it twice now.
That's
And and we tell them, no, thank you. We don't want to do that. It was offered in the multiple listing service and that's what we're accepting and thank you very much. And the response has been, well, now that the rules are changed, everything's negotiable.
Ignorance.
You've already agreed, they've already agreed to it though.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because we have responded with things have not changed, the compensation was
You
offered.
go back to your buyer, say they don't wanna pay now. Do you wanna pay it? If not, we.
What we ended up telling the other agent was the rules haven't changed. You are offering 3% in the MLS. You are supposed to stay with that. Well, we can negotiate out commissions. Yeah, commissions, pricing is negotiable, but the 3% is not. You offered it in the MLS. It's there. And we ended up reaching agreement, fortunately for both the clients, but I was very pissed off when she threw that at me.
It seems to be a tactic that they're using now.
Is this a specific company?
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
We actually, and I was really proud of Sandra because she actually, okay, in true transparency, are you dropping your commission any? Are you point blank, you just,
for
are
you,
you,
Sandra.
are you,
grabbed a pair and I said,
are you
and she's
dropping
like,
yours?
no.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah, we asked her, are
And
you,
she
are you
said
removing,
no.
dropping
Yeah,
your?
But
I think
yours
it's
is.
3%. So, yeah, they wanted us to drop from 3 to 1.5.
Ow.
So let me tell you what, one that happened to Brenda was, they said, well, if you won't drop, we're gonna accept a different offer. Then what do you do?
Right.
See ya.
Then
Well, my
you
question,
arbitrate. You get
my
that-
question, and Cheryl, this kind of, my question is when we get into a situation like that, with our current rules, can we not drag them into
Yes,
a situations like, this is what you offered, you can't,
yes.
can we not do that?
So our relief right now, if they don't pay us, what is offered in the MLS is an arbitration. And
I will tell you.
by the way, and then I'll come back to Chris.
Tammy has a question.
Just like this rule up here, if they don't have a written agreement before they go into the house, what's the relief? The relief is that somebody has to turn you into pro standards and you're brought up to a hearing, just like arbitration. Go ahead, Chris, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, the problem with arbitration is these agents aren't dumb. Because what they're doing is as they renegotiate, then they send over commission acceptance agreement and make you sign it. That says, I understand that I am accepting this instead of this. And they're taking arbitration right off the table. The one that happened to Brenda, the first one that happened to Brenda was a builder. And the builder came back and said, if you don't lower it, then I'm gonna go sell it to someone else. So, and then Brenda really toiled with, no, I'm not gonna do it. But here's the problem. If we didn't, and this is where the builder knew it, and the agent knew it. If we didn't, those buyers were gonna go directly to the builder and get the house. Everybody knows that. Buyers don't give a thing about you, whatever. They don't care. They want what they want. So they were gonna turn around and go right to the builder.
But wouldn't that
So
be
then when
procuring
she,
cause?
Hmm?
Wouldn't you have a procuring cause?
Yeah.
potentially, but
What's your relief?
but we don't even know what the other agent was being offered. So if he was offering the same thing to the other agent, you're only getting it at X% instead of what's offered. We would be going after the same thing we'd be accepting.
You're
So-
right about signing that commission change form. That does take arbitration off the table. It's like you're being held hostage. Your
Right.
client's gonna get the house or not,
Exactly.
and it's wrong.
How about we send it to them to sign prior?
Yes,
Can
Tammy?
we not make the MLS part of the contract?
Yes, but you're still back to the same thing. I would challenge that some of the people that are lowering commission could even write in the offer that buyer agrees to accept whatever percentage to pay their buyer agent. And if they do that and write it in the contract, it doesn't matter if they send out a secondary form, you still got something in writing
Yeah.
that says this is what's gonna happen. And I think you could potentially lose an arbitration from that.
I
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
What builder did that?
Oh, I bet I can.
Oh, I don't want to talk about
Yeah.
that. But I can tell you a lot of them will do that, I promise.
You'd be surprised who it was, Sherry.
Well, I'll talk to you later.
Wasn't Richard Neaton's.
No, it wasn't Mr. Lee.
I bet
No.
it was, but I'd like to know because I'm a member of the Builders Association and we will take it up in the Sales and Marketing Committee.
Yeah.
Well, maybe do that anyway without a name.
Yeah, but I mean, if you happen to walk by my desk and there's a name written down, I can't stop
Yeah,
that.
whoops.
I overseen it.
Or that our team is so damn loud, you overheard it.
What? Yeah, while I have no knowledge of anything going to happen, I can tell you Jay Russell thinks this is the best thing that ever happened. And that only an idiot buyer would pay somebody 30,000 or 15 or whatever. Buyer agency commission.
Mm,
He's made
That
that
was-
statement to me.
That was the name that came to mind.
I'm not, well.
He's
he
got a
doesn't build
syndrome
any-
anyway. We already know he's got some.
Okay, so Cheryl, am I allowed to say that what we had spoke about in the forms committee as far as identifying who's paying what on the contract?
You could probably discuss some of the things that are being discussed.
Okay, one of the things that is being discussed is, like, where in the contract on the first page, it says buyer, seller, check a box, pays for the home warranty. We're gonna have that same,
Well, we're discussing it.
We're
Nothing's been
discuss-
approved.
right, we're discussing having that similar verbiage where you check a box, buyer or seller, and how much they're paying, whether it's a percentage or a flat fee
On the contract?
on the contract.
That's in discussion,
That's
so.
in
Hey,
discussion.
can you guys rework the front page of the contract and get rid of assumed and get rid of all that, get rid of that silly ass
There's
block?
a reason that's still there.
If you could give me a good reason, I'd like.
Part of it is think about assumed with the low rates, there's gonna be a lot
No.
more assumptions going on.
That's fine, you can
You're
keep.
talking
this-
about the other?
I'm talking about everything that breaks down and then the two lines underneath it. I think it's line 14 and 15 that talk about, and everybody writes C paragraph 32.
We've discussed it and axed that.
Please get rid of that. And here's what I'm gonna tell you why you should consider getting rid of it. Because you're disclosing information about the
Oh, I
buyer
know.
that should never be disclosed.
And that is, trust me, in that committee meeting.
It's a
there
hot
is
discussion.
Throwing down going on, because Lynn and I have fought and fought and fought for the other version of what you're talking about. But it comes down to whoever makes the motion that gets approved by the majority gets forwarded to the board of directors.
So I have a suggestion because
And
I
your
also-
suggestions are heard a lot without the name. I mean, when
I
they're
know.
sitting there discussing things, I know it's where it's coming from.
I write emails and they read them at
Mhm.
that committee. I know that.
Mhm.
And I also say, I don't know if there's a limit, on the MLS, there's a limit to how many people can serve on a committee from the same company.
Right.
I don't know if that's true in Forms Committee. Get on the Forms Committee so we got
Oh,
another
Chris.
vote,
Get your butt in there, babe. Get in there.
because that's an important vote.
We've got people feeling that that disclosure is beneficial to the
It
seller.
authenticates what the buyer's teeth, what they've got in the
Well,
deal.
yeah, the teeth in the game. And I brought up, well, then why don't we have disclosed how much a seller is gonna have to bring to the table and whether or not they're
Yeah,
able to?
and it's legit.
And they said, oh, no, we
Yeah.
can't do that.
It's legit.
Well, let's not
Anyway.
get too deep in the contract, right?
Get on the
Because,
committees, kids.
Yep.
because I believe more changes will come to the contract.
Yep.
I don't believe this rule is written in stone yet. While we've been instructed to do things, we could withdraw that rule if we needed to by the time things happen. What I don't want you guys to do is something like happened to Chris and Brenda. Well, the rules are changed now. We can do everything. No rules have changed. But it's still a negotiation.
So
If your buyer is gonna lose a home over 0.5%, you have to seriously question yourself. And you might have to question that buyer. Are you willing to make up the other 0.5%?
So when we send that offer, should we put an amendment saying the seller agrees to pay?
I don't think so. It's their job to counter with that.
Not yet, yeah.
And I would
Yeah,
also
not yet.
say, if you send that amendment, now all you're gonna do is put the idea in their mind that they
Right.
may not have had before.
Right.
So when you put in an offer, they've already said what they're gonna pay. It's in the MLS and that's the contract. If they wanna change it, they gotta come to you. Let them come to you.
And if you get a verbal, hey, you gotta take less, then just keep moving forward, because then you can arbitrate. If you don't sign anything that makes a change and the MLS states, then that's but you close that deal as if everything's okay, then you arbitrate.
And I will tell you that falls in line with if you can, get the sellers to initial.
The MLS.
The MLS sheet that shows the compensation on it.
And circle it.
I just had someone tell me that their office doesn't allow them to sign that.
Who doesn't?
An agent told me that their office isn't allowed to sign the MLS.
Well, here's how you get around that.
Silly.
With your offer that you put in on paragraph 32, say, and all, this offer includes all stated items in the MLS.
That'll do it.
They sign that, that will sort of say that, and then you could even come back and say, well, you signed that, they would, I need them to sign it to make it part of the contract. You agreed to that.
And the other thing is you have to make sure you point out to the other agents or their brokers or whatever, that the contract does talk about the differences between the purchase contract, the seller's disclosure statement, and the MLS.
That's correct.
And
That's
so
right.
when I'm asked, why do we need to sign it? Because the contract calls out the MLS. I mean, there's 2 times in there it calls it out.
Good point, Lance.
Representations and recommendations, it talks about, that paragraph talks about the MLS.
Okay, what you're saying is that we should be having the agents sign that?
Seller.
No, the
Seller.
sellers, the
The sellers.
sellers,
Okay,
yeah, cause
okay.
I mean, that's something that our broker has asked us to do,
Mhm.
whether with listing side, the selling side or the buying side. I try to get the other side to buy, to sign off on it.
Especially if they don't have a disclosure. I always try to get that.
Okay, we've been at this 45 minutes. I'm more than happy to let the discussion go on. I'm not gonna stop it. I'm gonna put a little funny out there because it was a brand new agent. It's one of Chris' team's members. And they were not happy because they lost a listing and another agent took the listing on. And because all of the pre-filled check boxes about what is, I've got 4 bedrooms, was the same as this one. She thought that our agent was plagiarizing her listing form.
Wait, what?
I know,
Okay, so
that's
we had an
silly.
agent on the team who took a listing, okay? That had previously been listed by another agent, newer agent, not as familiar with, I don't know how houses work, whatever. Called up our team agent and bitched her out for, oh no, she didn't reach out to our agent, our seller.
Our
reached out
seller,
to the
yeah.
agent, Said, hey, so I'm friends with the agent who had my home previously listed, and here is a copy of the text that she sent me, which is totally, negative Nellying our agent about how our agent had plagiarized the previous listing. Okay, we went back, we looked at all the remarks. Nope, the remarks aren't the same.
Nope.
It ended up coming out that the part that's the same is number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms. I'm not making that up. That's the part that was plagiarized.
Oh, dear Lord.
So did they add a bedroom that,
Right, so yeah, that she's mad that our seller didn't add on to the house. I don't know. Like, what?
So I called her
Yeah.
broker.
are they still
this
friends?
Brand new agent who one cell, got the correction, we're fine, but it was kind of funny.
Special, I bet it was.
Special's
a nice way
broker
of
say
putting
they
it.
were gonna maybe issue an apology to the seller.
I didn't ask
That's
for
a
that.
good point. Good point by Christopher. Some clarification action.
I got
Because the
to,
message that was sent to the seller from the agent was harsh.
Yeah. Well, and that's a violation of the code of ethics.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I would be putting that in their face if they
Yeah.
don't do this.
we thought about that, but after talking with Chris and after talking with the other agent, we decided or broker, we decided the broker correction should be good enough.
I had an agent go into one of my listings and the sellers were there and she flat told them that I was the worst agent in the city. And they shouldn't be listed with me.
Did you bring them up?
I didn't want to involve my
In
clients
front of your
because,
client.
no, to my clients.
Hmm.
They were
Okay.
moving out of state and I didn't want to have to involve the sellers in a
issue?
issue.
People be crazy.
Hey, there's Katie. Hi, Katie.
Oh, hi, Katie.
Angela joined us, yay.
Hello.
Kevin Andrews is on, that's wonderful.
Congratulations, Angela
So,
and Brenda.
so again, we're still having conversation. Anybody else want to talk about changes or other things do you want to call it quits?
I'm ready for the weather to change.
No,
You mean stay permanent?
Yeah, stay sunny.
no.
I gotta paint a house so I can get it on the market.
Well-
Let's leave with some really positive stuff.
Yeah.
Let's throw out a couple of really positive things going on.
Thank God we have the broker we do, so we don't.
Yes.
Yes.
What a
Keeps us
suck
simple.
up.
Yeah, you say that in front of me.
I wouldn't have said that if I was at home.
Keep
No,
on
I'm just
rocking,
kidding.
Greg.
I'm gonna just throw out there next, it's been requested that in our mastermind meeting that people, share some clauses that they may use for different situations. If you guys want to join us next week, that would be awesome, just so that we can all
Make a list.
make a list and
Why don't you do it a different day so it doesn't keep?
Well, I'm trying to only do this once a month so that we don't hit each other anymore.
I wasn't even thinking this was the first Wednesday of the month when I put out that first email.
I'll also,
So, my bad.
I also want to push real hard, come Thursday night. Lark's,
Oh, I gotta send you an RSVP for the team. I'm sorry. I forgot.
well, I'm not doing RSVPs and it is a +1, but we have a bar with 1 drink ticket, then you gotta buy. Larkspur is serving dinner with dessert. We have some really nice awards to give out this year. I think a lot of people are gonna be pleased. And even if you don't get an award, show up, get drunk with us.
On one drink.
On one drink, yeah. exactly.
There are some. Better be a pretty.
Greg knows my tolerance. One and done.
What happens after the second?
I can tell you, get with me later.
Okay.
Or puking, or like.
I don't know who hasn't been at the boathouse lately.
I've never been.
I haven't been.
It's been 20 years.
I've never-
It's really nice. We have the entire upstairs, but also downstairs is the Kansas Sports
Hall of Fame.
Museum,
Sports Hall of Fame.
Sports Hall of Fame. And you can wander through that for free. We've got the balconies, the boat out back, the America Cubed is still there. So please come down. I think it'll be a fun time.
Is there a dress code?
No.
Yeah, I prefer clothes.
You don't like birthday suits?
Talking to Tanner about a new cruise and then you're talking about wearing clothes. We need to be worried and concerned about you.
Said he's getting old.
No,
Yeah,
you should
mental
not be
evaluation.
concerned.
Start showing up. Clothes on.
Pretty, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
5:30, dinner will probably be around 6:30 or so.
So you can wear whatever you want, as long as you have clothes.
I will probably wear a jacket with a shirt,
Wrap
no
cloth around
tie.
us or something.
Yeah, a toga party.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh,
That
yeah,
actually would be
Let's
fun.
do that.
That would be fun.
I've rocked a few togas in my.
I have never been to one. That'd be kind of cool.
All right, what's our
That's fun.
inspirational saying for today, Greg?
Well, come to the party.
What?
Come to the party.
That's inspirational?
I think so.
Oh.
Well, let's say this. Our market's
Beer?
doing good. We've got more inventory to sell. You guys are still working and nothing has really changed.
Kumbaya, folks.
Let's go out there and have fun. When you put a smile on your face, you sell more real estate. I promise.
And know that you're smarter than 99% of the other agents out there,
Yeah.
Even some of the ones that's been in.
well, especially them.
I had, oh, this one.
Okay, I'm gonna quit recording.
Thanks,
Thank you
Bob.
guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, boss. You did